Hi, so lab meetings are really important, and we have two lab meetings. One is a journal club, and I already made a video about that, and I'm gonna put the link in the description. And the other meeting we have every week is a data club, and this is what I'm gonna talk about now. So data club is for presentation of results, or also for presenting plans for future experiments. I'm gonna talk about why it's important, what are the challenges, and then give you some tips from our experience. So first of all, why it's important? Well, it's super important because it's the one venue where we really share with the group what's going on, what's been found in terms of new results, or what are plans for upcoming experiments. And that is a really efficient way to find new collaborators, to recruit people basically to your project if you are planning a new study, and to get additional response variables covered and so on and so forth. Another very important purpose of these meetings is for people to present the future plans. So if there are any flaws in the design, or if things could be improved, this is the place where these issues are being discussed and fixed before experiments actually happen. And finally, this is also the venue where people give input into analysis, mostly the statistics or the way to present data. So overall, this is just a super useful meeting we have every week. So what are the challenges? The challenges are quite clear, because as opposed to journal club, where we just have basically a free-flowing discussion with no presentations, here by necessity we have to have people sign up and give presentations. And that is the major challenge, because of course that takes time, and it is also just intimidating to speak in front of a group. We usually have between 30 and 40 people at these meetings, and of course it's intimidating to speak in front of a group, even though it's people that you mostly know. I mean, even I am intimidated when I speak in front of this group and share some of my ideas. It's just the way it is. And that is a major challenge to overcome. The thing is that after people have made the presentations, the feedback has usually been very positive. Like, people are glad that they did that because some problems were caught at a very early stage, or they received some very useful input on the analysis or whatever. But it is still that initial hurdle to get people to sign up. That is definitely a challenge. So what are some specific tips? Well, one change that we did a few years ago was that we allowed people basically to also sign up for very short presentations. So our meeting time is from 10:15 to 11:30, so it's a pretty long meeting time every week. And of course, it's even more intimidating if you know you would have to fill that entire time period. And so one easy way out, which is actually a suggestion from the lab group, was to allow people to also sign up for like 5 or 10 minute time slots, because that is way less effort to prepare, and therefore the threshold should be lower to sign up for one of those slots rather than the full 1.5 hour slots. Those also have another positive effect, because basically it signals that it's okay to share also some early stage idea and early stage data and results, and not wait for the grand panoramic overview of all the fantastic things you have done in the last year or so. It's much more important to have a rapid succession of shorter presentations than to wait for the grandiose presentation that wows everybody. Those are nice too, but I think it's important to get that mix. When we started doing that, another important tip that basically came up is you need to match the presentation time to the question time. So what should not happen is when people present like a 5-minute presentation and give like sort of initial results, for example, there should not be a 45-minute question time, because by necessity these results were preliminary, and it's unreasonable for people to be exposed to that long a session of questioning. That would be intimidating again. So I just keep the time, and after the, let's say, 5 minutes period following a 5-minute presentation, then the discussion stops. Unless people really want to keep talking about it and are fine. But I think that's important to match the discussion time to the presentation time. What's also a good piece of advice is to have people think, the presenters think in advance of what they would actually most like to have input on. Would they like to have input on the design? Would they like to know what additional response variables can be measured? Would they like to know what ideas there are for statistical models to analyze the data? And so that way, the people that can present can maintain some control over where the discussion is headed. And I think that's also an important tool to make this a success. Also, to make this a little bit more fun, we have like little lab traditions and rules that people really enjoy. Mostly they are about what you present and how you present it, and especially if you present for the first time in the lab. There are secrets, so if you want to see those, you have to come visit us, but I think that they are just little things that make it more fun and kind of break the ice also. Yeah, to summarize, basically these data clubs are super important meetings. They have been immensely useful in increasing the quality of work that's being done. They have helped basically people collaborate more effectively, especially since we're a fairly large group. But there's also specific challenges, just inherent to the nature of this meeting compared to the journal club meeting. Of course, it also makes sense to have sort of a mix of data club and journal club. And in our lab, it's always been separated. And I think it's actually fine the way it works. So I hope it gave you some ideas about data club, and I hope you enjoy yours.